Frogtown. Do you know that the more I think about it, the more we haven't spoken about it enough? Do you know the governor intends to, I hope he's not successful, cut $109 million from the budget for private education? Well, a couple of thoughts. You can find that amount of money in his couch cushions from the fraud. It's a pittance. It's a pittance. But it's been a pittance thrown to private schools for 50 years. The $109 million is all they get. And it covers some things that taxpayers are paying for anyway.
Right.
Busing, some textbooks, standardized tests, a nurse in case Walz mandates a vaccine. You know, you should have a nurse for that.
Yep.
The point being, I think this reflects Walz's finding private schools disagreeable to his ideological predisposition.
That the public school eats up.
Which we've learned more and more about as he becomes more and more revealed to the public. I think he's a firm believer in the state must control all education. And taxpayers, you euphorians and Mysterians who think that tax money shouldn't go to the public, to the private schools, it's tax money already paid. So somebody that sacrifices to send their kid to a Catholic grade school, for example, is also paying for the kid to go to a public grade school.
I'm trying to find
So it doesn't, it's all BS. And then they use this disingenuous BS about, well, we must have a realistic and sensible bottom line for the budget. Pal, you blew a $17 billion budget. You have leaked more than $600 million out of the state capitol. Who are you kidding, you lying fraud?
Our guy Kendall Qualls had a great tweet about this very thing. What was this? This was 3 days ago, Joe. We've experienced 8 years of academic decline in public schools under Governor Walz, while he finds it okay to spend nearly $500 million to renovate new offices at the Capitol. He eliminates subsidies for private school parents that have been in place since 1969 under Democrat and Republican governors. These cuts demonstrate Walz is nothing more than a vindictive tyrant. Spot on.
The other thing to realize is, and it's a sad note, it could not absolutely happen today that the legislature would grant money to some private schools for busing and books and testing. It absolutely would not happen. It happened in 1969 when a bipartisan effort came to their senses and said, well, what the hell? The same bus going by Holy Rosary is going by John Adams Public School. Let's drop the kids off.
Right.
Boom, you got equality in busing. Then in 1975, again, bipartisan action, when they came to their senses and realized that private education absolutely saves the state money, they threw some token pocket change at the private schools, and that's a 50-year program. And this buffoon comes along, and all he's doing is reflecting his personal vendetta against the ideological notion of private education.
Right. And this is
They don't have a private education in China. I don't think. Maybe they do. I don't think. But they don't have it in China.
And how dangerous of a road is this to go down if you're Governor Walz? And you're really going to start splitting, you know what I mean?
Is it worth mentioning that homeschooled gets nothing?
Right, and
you might get a few tax breaks, but other than that, you get nothing.
Well, I was going to say busing, but they don't need busing. They're homeschooled. I would think the homeschools are provided with the instructional materials and some textbooks.
Chris, are you sitting down?
I am.
Yes, church bells can ring in Minneapolis.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
$109 million, and that's going to put a dent in a $6 billion deficit. Why is there a $6 billion deficit? Well, because of that wild frat party you threw to celebrate you being a trifecta and blowing $17 billion.
Speaking of that, are the numbers in yet on the money the state has earned in 2024? We want to compare that, the tax revenue from 2024 to the current overspending.
I'd like to.
I don't know if the numbers are in
that.
yet.
I don't have that.
They should be.
He insults every taxpayer in this state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
Yes,
he's
he does.
he's the worst governor in the history of this state, if not this country. Well, George Wallace was pretty bad. You know?
Had some issues,
I just, and Tim. One of the reasons the private schools are much cheaper than public education is they don't have your statism wrapped up in it. Each private school that I'm aware of does not have 5 assistant principals. They usually have 1. They don't have to undergo the layers and layers and layers of bureaucracy. And also, Tim, you probably look real good to the union that supports you too, Education Minnesota. We shouldn't throw any money at that. You're throwing it to taxpayers who pay twice. They're already paying for public education. And 50 years ago, you had legislators wise enough to acknowledge that choice was a credible thing for parents to have. This could not happen today. No. This would not happen today with these heathen activists we have in there who are completely ruining this state. And Walz is completely ruining this state financially.
I have an answer to my question.
Oh.
In fiscal year 2024, Minnesota collected an estimated $29.8 billion in net general fund receipts. This included $14.8 billion from net individual and corporate income taxes and $7.5 billion from net sales and use taxes.
Mm-hmm. And that's not nearly enough to cover a $6 billion deficit because the budget has grown overwhelmingly under the DFL trifecta frat party situation.
Hey, we used to do that to pay our mortgage.
Right.
We'd buy a keg and sell glasses for $4 a piece. Maybe Minnesota needs a kegger.
They're doing it too, but they're taking the money from you to throw the party for themselves.
Yes, yeah.
They're taking your beer $5 and they're putting it in their kitty.
They took a good